Hey guys, Captain Matt here with the Lighting Trade School. This is going to be the first episode of Captain's Quarters First Class, new offshoot podcast of the Lighting Trade School, where you know that you can listen to myself, Nate Mullen, and Shane Glowdaddy Duffy talk about all things landscape lighting. Captain's Quarters, it's going to be me talking. I'll have some guests on. We'll do some interviews. It's also where we'll explain more about just outdoor lighting in general, not just landscape lighting. We'll talk about Christmas lighting. We'll talk about soffit lighting, the permanent RGB stuff that goes on the soffits. So that's going to be what this is more focused on, kind of opening it up to not just landscape lighting and getting on some, some great guests and, more of the interview arm and the offshoot, kind of like that. So with this first episode, I kind of want to go over, in case you don't fully know who I am, kind of give you a backstory, how I got started in lighting in the first place, how I got started in landscape lighting, how I met Nate, and what I'm doing now with Captain Matt Outdoors. So I started the Christmas guys. I started my service outdoor lighting world in Christmas only in 2009. My son was about to turn 2 years old, or maybe he was about to turn one. Either way, Santa needed some money for Christmas presents. So I'll never forget, I said, I wonder if people will pay me to do this. And it was because I've always loved decorating. I even had decorated when I was a kid, when I was like 4 or 5, for my neighbor, first client, Johnny. He's the barber. So I would do his house, and then he would pay me in like hot cocoa. There's another one that paid me in Fig Newton. So those two neighbors across the way, Johnny K and Mrs. Sullivan. So that's where I got my start doing it for other people. And I loved Christmas, and I've always wanted my own business. And back in 2009, it wasn't like it is today, where there's Facebook groups and all this easy way to really connect with other people. Like, I didn't even really know that other companies had existed doing Christmas lighting outside. Now I knew there must be, as I was on Google, found some people in like I think it was like Oklahoma or Texas, and they were doing it. I couldn't find anyone else. It wasn't very huge at the time, at least not on the internet where it was findable, if it was. So I got my start just kind of grinding it out, learning along the way, making a bunch of mistakes as I went. So 2009, first year, had 3 clients, just all from printouts off their normal computer for Christmas. And I was like, wow, this is badass. It was a proof of concept for me. It was more than, yes, of course, there was some money made, not a ton, but it was a proof of concept that people would pay me. Second year, had 9 clients, right? And this was just all side hustling. I had a full-time job, 50 hours a week. So this was just straight side hustle time. So anyways, and I continued to grow that Christmas over, years, and we're really doing some real volume, making some real money. And it sucked because every year I'd have to, I'd find great guys to install Christmas lights, and then you have to fire them after takedowns were done in like January or February. I was lucky enough, blessed enough, that I was a good leader and good boss, that so many people would come back each season because they knew it was great money. It was like unlimited hours. It was awesome. So a lot of them would, quit their jobs if they didn't have like a real career going on, quit their jobs, come back to work for me during the Christmas season. Excuse me. So I really needed to find a way to keep and retain staff, because at one point, those guys that had been with me for a long time, well, they were getting a little bit older. And I say older, mid 20s. And now they were really pushing a career where they couldn't just quit their job and come work for me for 3 or 4 months, and then go back to find something else. So I needed a way to keep my Christmas guys, employed all year long. And it started off with my first all year hire was a guy by the name of Joey Mertz. And he was all year, but like part-time, like 25 hours. And he'd clean the showroom, he'd clean the warehouse, he would do a little odd and end, like wedding decorating, things like that we would do. Just enough to really keep everything moving and kind of hit all those fires that come out, because I wasn't doing a lot of work during the season, or during the off season, non-Christmas work. But there was just always stuff to be done, right? Between cleaning oversized decor, labeling, storage, all that stuff. So that was my first hire that was all year. And then the following year, I ended up keeping someone to do that. Plus, I brought 2 people on full time for actual installations. At that point, I started doing gemstone lighting, which is permanent soffit lighting, RGB, sets in aluminum track, really nice, and also landscape lighting. And I knew because I kept those people on it. And how I am, like, if I tell someone I'm going to hire you for the year, I'm always too honest, or I'm always honest, maybe too honest, right? Because I'll be like, I don't know if I have the work, so it's going to be full time unless it's not. But knowing that someone else, relied on me, they were paying their bills with me, it pushed me to that next level of now I knew that I needed to actually create jobs, create new revenue during non Christmas months so that I could continue to pay him and not lose good talent. So, with that, we started doing gemstones, started doing landscape lighting. And when I started doing landscape lighting, I had bought a kit off of AMP, and it arrived because I had these clients calling me, right? I've been doing Christmas for years and years at this point, and like, hey, do you do landscape lighting? And it felt silly that I didn't, right? I was doing or I was doing Christmas lighting. I just started doing gemstone lighting, but I hadn't started doing any landscape lighting. Really strange as a lighting guy, right? So I was like, this can't be hard. I did some stupid online courses that were like 15 minutes long. I had a cool little certificate at the end. I was like, I'm ready to roll. Ordered the AMP stuff, got it in. And I'm not even saying AMP didn't look nice. It was more of like, holy shit, this is a lot. It was overwhelming. I had never, put any landscape lighting in. All I had done was solar lighting right at the house for, the garden area. So seeing all this and the transformer and the wires, I was like, fuck this. I don't want to jump into this and do it. It's too much. If I'm going to jump into it, I need to jump into it legitimately. The same way I do Christmas, where I provide immense value beyond just the decorating portion, right? I'm super confident. I knew what I was doing. Landscape lighting, I didn't. So I felt like a fraud where I could not offer landscape lighting because I couldn't offer it to the level that I offered Christmas lighting. So I knew there must be a better way. So, of course, as all of us entrepreneurs do, I was headed to YouTube and I headed to Amazon. YouTube, there was a ton of videos on landscape lighting, and I didn't know who to listen to, who to trust. They weren't very well, some of them weren't very informative. Some of them were super informative, where it's overwhelming. But then I found on Amazon a book called The Landscape Lighting Bible. And then there was also like, hey, if you buy this, you may also like this. And it was the Lighting Sales Bible. I think they were like $75 each. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I ordered both of those, got them in, and it was written by a guy named Nate Mullen. And it's fascinating writing, right? It was writing more how I talk to people, how I interact with people. It wasn't at this like academy level in terms of words I didn't understand or theories I couldn't wrap my head around. It was all based on real life, what we see with our eyes, how to handle things, how to really think about things differently when it comes to design and to sales. I read it. I love these books. I read them super fast, reread them. But in there, right, was Nate Mullen's phone number. And again, when I do something, I like to be the best. So ended up calling Nate on from that book. He picked up. We had like a 2-hour plus conversation that first time. And it ended where he basically had told me, get on a plane and come to California and I'll mentor you. I will teach you everything you need to know. And I said, all right. So I bought like 2 demo kits there then, just because I knew, well, this guy he had such a presence about him. I loved his books and I wanted to do big things. Because that's how, that was the plan for the business model, was do big things, grow big, get these guys work, make me profit, right? I want to be profitable. I know from the Christmas side of things, the bigger the jobs, the better, because I can do, one big job can equal 5 to 10 smaller jobs. So it's more efficient, all that. Anyways, I get on a plane. I had never left the East Coast at this point. I live in upstate New York. I'd been down to Florida, up to Maine, all that, but I never left the East Coast. So this is the first time I hop on a plane to go meet a man that I had no idea who he was. Yes, we had one phone call and I read his book. So it was kind of freaky. I had no idea what I was going into. Anyways, I landed in California. This guy, Nate, one who I wrote So anyways, I landed in California. The guy who wrote the books that I read picks me up in his Porsche and he just starts talking to me. We're driving And I'm like, this is crazy. You could just tell by how he talked that he loved lighting. So, anyways, I spent a couple of days with Nate, and another one or two guys were there at the same time as well. I don't know what they're doing now, really. One I do, but he's not involved in lighting. So I got to meet him for a few days, and basically he told me, this is what I want you to do. I want you to get home. I want you to demo as much as you can. I want you to do 10 at cost jobs as fast as you can. Doesn't matter about profit right now. You just got to get out there and learn. And so I did, right? I got home and I hit the ground running, right? 2 demo kits. I think there was like 40 or 50 lights. And I was just demoing some of my Christmas clients. I didn't contact all of them because I didn't want to, really contact the people that I knew loved me before I knew I was good at it. There was a few that I knew I could reach out to, and I did. I was friends, family, empty houses, businesses when they were closed at night. I was trying to get as many demos done as possible, as quick as possible, because Nate, who I was literally mentoring under, listening to, told me that that was the quickest way for me to learn landscape lighting, all these concepts that he taught me. It was a way to see them in real life. Phew. Phew. Not only does it, let me learn and see these concepts come to life in actuality, but it's my terrain, it's my landscape, it's my architecture. Like California, San Marcos, San Diego area, the badass backyards, cool palm trees, all that stuff. We don't have that where I am in New York State in terms of palm trees and vegetative, colorful flowers growing all year long. And the architecture looks totally different in California than it does in upstate New York. So doing a demo, I'm able to take pictures. I'm able to grow my portfolio. And it's honest because it is landscape lighting design. Even if I'm not installing it, it is a design I'm creating. So build up my portfolio super fast. And I learn super fast. And I learn why we don't front light trees, why we backlight, side light, how close I should be to a home that's siding, brick, stone. What's the difference between an evergreen tree and a flowering tree and a maple tree, right? When do I want to light the inside of a porch railing versus the sides? Why I don't like front lighting porch railings, right? All of this stuff I was able to boom, 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 boom is super fast. I get involved in that. I think my first year doing landscape lighting, we did about 300, 400,000 in landscape lighting. And that was pretty good because it wasn't until May or June that I actually got started in that year. I hit the ground running, right? When I want to do something, I try to hit the ground running. I don't want to just sit around and think about it. I want to get up and I want to go, right? So that's kind of my story. How I got started in landscape lighting was simply because I had Christmas clients calling me, and other people that weren't even my clients just knew, hey, these guys do lighting for Christmas. I'm sure they must do landscape lighting. So I was kind of forced into it, into learning about it. And then because I don't like to do things not with excellence, I ended up finding Nate's book and doing that whole story. So, excuse me. That is my story from starting with nothing, going into Christmas lights, in gemstone lights, into landscape lights, and now doing what I'm doing now, which co-founder of the Lighting Trade School with Nate and Shane, where we teach, train, educate guys across the country. I say across the continent because we have Canadians as well. How to do landscape lighting design, installations, sales, and all that stuff. And now, so from that time, right, I just went, this has been 10 minutes. I went from 2009 until now, which is 2025. Obviously, a lot of stuff has happened along the way. A lot of epic failures, a lot of epic wins, a lot of things that, wish I had someone that I could have asked before I had tried it. Like the first tall tree we did, we rented scaffolding from Home Depot. That was a mistake. Had I talked to anybody who had ever installed Christmas lights before, they would have told me that using scaffolding is not the right option. They would have said use a pole, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing with hiring and firing and all of this. Like, they say to hire slow, fire fast. That was always the difference, right? I would hire slow, fire slow. Yeah, that's what I would basically do. So I wasn't, curating the right team. And these are just things, you learn along the way, or you have a coach or a mentor that can help you make better decisions more quickly because they've already made those mistakes or they've already done those wins. So they can help guide you into finding that win for yourself or avoiding that loss for yourself. So it's super badass. And not only did I build it, right? We built it to a 7-figure outdoor lighting only company. I had a partner at one point, right? That ended, basically burnt the business almost to the ground during that time. And, and then redoing it. It's almost starting over again, right? And restructuring and doing it again. So I definitely have a lot of experience doing all that. And that's why I love outdoor lighting, though, because it's different every day. Not only is it different every day, but it's fun. There's not a ton of home services that are fun for you and the client, right? When we show people their lights at night, when that first night they see it, or even on a demo, a landscape lighting demo, it's excitement. That's fun. They get to see a transformation happen between, right before their very eyes. It changes their life for sure. Outdoor lighting will change your life if done correctly. And even if done kind of shitty, it does change your life, because some light looks better than no light. But look at the other trades that you can do: plumbing, heating, even, power washing, all this. It's not like it's fun. It's not resealing a driveway, paving, cement. It's not like people are super excited when you get there. They're super excited when you leave. They're kind of, those are more expected, right? You expect that when a plumber comes, he's doing something with your pipes, making something work. When the painter comes, it might be a little exciting, but it's totally different when it comes to lighting. When the heating guy comes, just, he's doing something, doing a tune up or whatever to your heating elements and all that jazz. There's really no change to your life afterwards, even though those things are needed. I'm not saying they're not, but that's what I love about it. It's just fun, and the client enjoys it. It's like, that's why I do this whole backyard vibe, right? This whole staycation, this whole paradise, barefoot lighting, Captain Matt, we'll knock your socks off. So if you're, looking to get into another service, or looking to kind of leave the service you have now, or maybe you're looking to leave your job, outdoor lighting can be an amazing opportunity for you. But I highly recommend you get trained. Obviously, I highly recommend you come to Lighting Trade School, lightingtradeschool.com, and check us out there, because you can just start, right? There's this very, very low barrier to entry. At the end of the day, it's pretty simple, right? There's a transformer, it's a 2-wire system, and then lights have 2 wires coming off of them. You hook them up, they turn on. Right. So it's simple. But when you push yourself and you push your limits, you learn design, when you're able to walk onto a property and know beyond a shadow of a doubt, no matter who has been there before you, who is coming in after you, that you're going to walk on there and you're going to give them the most badass design that they've ever even thought could be done. People don't think about outdoor lighting as much as I think about it. Same thing with my clients, and the same thing it's going to be with your clients. You think about lighting every day. They only think about light when it's dark out and they walk outside, right? This is not an obsession and infatuation. They're not talking, and they're not in Facebook groups. They're not in coaching programs. They're not in mentorship programs. They're not learning at the Lighting Trade School. They're not in the Illuminati Lounge Club, which is one of our Facebook group. We also have a paid version where it's a weekly call, and, with a group call for an hour. It's interactive. You bring up designs, you get hot seated, all that stuff. Right? Your clients aren't doing that. You are. Your competition is not, but you are. So that's why you can come in and really dominate your area, because when you elevate yourself and you elevate your design skills and your sales skills, your install ability, your install confidence, even if you don't have the ability yet, the confidence to know that can be done changes the game and allows you to provide better designs. Because one thing I've noticed, there are other people that do landscape lighting in my area for sure. There's no one that just does it exclusively. No one that just offers outdoor lighting, end of sentence. It's always an add-on. So I can use that to my advantage, right? Do you want to hire the guy who's side hustling, or do you want to hire the guy who literally spends every single day doing this shit that you're looking for? I know the answer. Everyone's going to say, of course I want the guy who's doing it every day. Why would I want a side hustler when I can get a professional? And now we all side hustle when we're starting. There's nothing wrong with side hustling. You still be a professional and side hustle, but you're only semi-professional until you can make enough money, revenue, profit to only focus on that, or have another division and you're hiring a guy to do it. Right? I'm not saying you can only do one service line, only one type of service. That's stupid. Obviously, you're in business and you want to grow. If your model is growth, and yeah, you're going to need managers, maybe division leaders, all this stuff, so that you can actually have somebody focusing on lighting. If it's not you, you have somebody that's only doing lighting. They're not power washing and doing lighting. They're not doing garage floors and doing lighting. You know what I mean? They're not doing pools and doing lighting. They're just doing lighting. So that's that, right? Again, you can have multiple service lines, but to have somebody that's dedicated, devoted to that, where their attention is not pulled from lighting, game changes. Your designs change. The confidence changes, and clients see it. Right? You know, when you have a contractor at your house, if they're confident, you can kind of tell within a couple minutes if it's someone that you actually want to hire. Not if you're going to hire them, but you can tell within a couple minutes if you want to hire them. I know for me, there's been plenty of times where I'm like, oh my gosh, is this guy going to leave? There's zero chance I'm going to hire this guy, even if he's the lowest price. Will he just leave? So when you have a guy who's just super confident and you're able to walk in, clients feel that and sense that. Because at the end of the day, the clients want badass lighting, someone they trust. They don't want to be ripped off, and they just want a professional who's going to get the job. They want to write the check and just know it's going to be done, and know it's going to be done well and right. And it's not going to create them a bunch of different headaches along the way. So that is my story of how I got started in lighting in 2009 with Christmas lights only, transitioning into gemstones and then landscape lighting. This podcast, Captain's Quarters First Class. Hope you guys got some value out of it. Get to meet me. We'll bring some guests on. We're going to talk about some stuff. So anything you want to talk about, Christmas lights, gemstones. I know there's a bunch of other systems out there besides just gemstones. Gemstones is what I use. But you want to talk about something else? Cool. Hit me up. Shoot me a message. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Work like a captain, party like a pirate. And this has been the first episode of Captain's Quarters First Class. We'll talk to you guys soon.